Okay, this video is going to be a start to finish demo of the Dragster project. We're going to go from the beginning, model the block, model the holes, and model the extrusion of the side. I'm going to go kind of quickly, but I wanted to give it to you all in one package. Okay, once again, we're starting a new file, standard inches. We're going to create it. As always, click OK here. The first step to creating the project is to start a sketch. Our sketch is going to be started on the XY plane. Okay, the first thing we want to do is put in the dimensions for the block that we'll be cutting our dragster out of. To do that, we're going to use the dimension tool, select a line, drag it down in place. We're going to enter the distance of our bottom line as 6.5 inches. Now we've gotten outside the frame, so we're going to use this tool, zoom all, to bring it back inside our frame. We're going to dimension this side at 1.5 inches tall. Please pay attention to see all the way through that dimensioning and don't enter the dimension until you've seen me enter in the box. Okay, we finished the side. We're going to finish the sketch at this point. Zoom out so we can see the entire rotated rectangle. The extrude tool is going to give depth to the block of our dragster. Now we need it 1 inch. 1 inch is the default, so we're going to leave it. Okay, here's the block of our dragster. The next thing we need to do is add holes to the side and a hole to the end. To do that, we're first going to create a new sketch on the end. We're going to use the circle tool to come here on the end and create this circle that will become our hole. Selecting the outside of the circle allows us to identify the diameter. The diameter of this circle is 0.5. I'm sorry, the diameter is not 0.5, the diameter is 0.25. Okay. Now we're going to dimension from the center of the circle to the edges of our block. That's where we'll be entering 0.5. Okay, 0.5 will also be used from the center of the circle to the side of our block. We're going to bring it down here and enter 0.5. Okay, that finishes the sketch of that circle. Here it is. And we're going to use our extrude tool again. When you do this, make sure that you get just the circle and not the block out here. Watch the shading. The shading is really faint, but we want that center. We're going to switch to a cut. And we're going to cut through the entire block using all. Okay. Now we're going to move to the side and create 2 holes on the side. Once again, we're going to do these with a sketch. We're going to do this new 2D sketch and 2 circles. Now, for those of you that have issues with your circles going underneath your block, what I'd recommend you do is first dimension the height of your circles. And that will help them to stay where you need them to be. And that height needs to be 0.25. To dimension the height, of course, we're going to first click that center point and then the bottom line. And both of those are at 0.25. Now, we also want to dimension the distance from the ends. This dimension is not as critical. You can use whatever fits well with your drawing. I'm going to use 0.75 for both of these circles. Sorry for that noise. Here we go, and this is going to be 0.75. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to dimension the diameter of these circles. Both of these circles are 1/8 of an inch, and we can type in 1/8 for that diameter. Clicking on the outside gives us the ability to dimension the diameter, and this one is also 1/8. Okay, that finishes the sketch of both of our circles that will become our axle holes. We're going to extrude those. Now, we may want to use the scroll wheel and zoom in to make sure that when we extrude, we first click on and select the circles. After we've selected them, then we're going to come over here and choose our cut tool. Our distance is all. We need our axles to go all the way through. We're going to select OK. That finishes up the basics of the block, the hole for the straw, both holes for the axles. And now we're ready to kind of do the profile of our vehicle. Okay, in the first demo video, I demonstrated a truck. For this one, I think we're going to look at what a car might look like modeled using lines and arcs. We're going to start a sketch on the side here. I want to start with the arc tool, and down here underneath, well, there's a couple things I want to point out. We want to make sure as we go that everything is connected. All of our lines and arcs are solidly connected. Another thing we want to make sure is that we stay above this straw hole so that we can create our shape and not compromise the need to keep our straw. So starting with an arc, we're going to come in here and I'm going to create just the first point and the second point, and then I can pull the middle of that arc back and forth. This is going to form the front bumper of my vehicle. Okay, we have that arc. Now we're going to come up here and we're going to create kind of a reverse arc to show the grille of that vehicle coming in. Now, so far I've been using arcs, so let's change up a little bit and start using some lines. Let's come back this way, create kind of a sharp hood to our vehicle, a windshield, and now if you notice, the line tool is automatically going to go point to point. If we switch to an arc, one thing we want to make sure we find is that green dot. The green dot shows that you're connecting your new feature to an existing one. It's going to be important later for this to work successfully. Now we're going to create, let's see, I don't know what this is. This is a sedan, I guess. We're going to create a car. We're going to bring that roof line up here. Then we're going to come here to the back and draw a line backwards towards the back of this car. We do a little bit like this, and then we're going to switch back to an arc. We're going to make this trunk have just a little bit of an inward flare to it, and then we'll finish out our design here. Alright, so there's the green profile of our vehicle that we're going to cut out. One thing we need to think about is that we are going to cut away this top section instead of the middle. So to do that, we're going to use the line tool, and we're actually going to create a barrier outside the vehicle to help include the entire area you want to cut away. And so when we return to the end here, we want to make sure that it connects. Okay, emphasize one more time. As you draw those shapes, you want to make sure that every section is connected to the previous. If there's any breaks or overlaps in these lines, you're going to have some issues with extrusion. If you have an overlap here, you'll have some difficulties. So just take your time and check those over. If you have an error when you go to extrude, make sure you come back here, edit that sketch, and clean it up. Alright, finishing the sketch, we're going to rotate, and we're going to try to cut away this outside section. Okay, it's coming towards us. We're going to switch that to a cut. Click OK. There's the profile of our vehicle. Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, one thing we want to do is always make sure we save this. So we're going to go here to File, and we're going to save that as Dragster Car. Once you've saved it, then you can move on to modeling the axle or the wheel. The axle, you're going to want to go to the PDF drawing that's attached to Wednesday's post. If you want to go to the wheel, look at today's post for Thursday, and there should be some information and a video there to help you start thinking about how to model a wheel.